More documents involving accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein could be released as soon as tomorrow. Now, a judge delayed the unsealing of 3 of the Jane Does until January 22nd. In total, 4,556 pages have already been made public. And the documents name more than 150 people, including scores of prominent figures connected to or mentioned in legal proceedings related to the disgraced financier and his network. But just being identified through the court documents does not mean the individual was necessarily involved or aware of any wrongdoing. I do want to bring back attorney Matt Murphy now. He was also a former sexual assault and homicide prosecutor. Matt, it's good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be back.
Matt, what are we expecting from the documents that may drop tomorrow? What are you tracking here?
Well, what I really want to see is I want to see if there's answers regarding the abysmal prosecutorial failure that happened in South Florida with the attorney named Barry Krishner. There were 13 victims that they knew about back in 2005. The police did everything but put a bow on this, and he got a ridiculous deal where he pled to 1 count of solicitation of prostitution and 1 count of solicitation of prostitution from a minor. And he was basically given essentially home confinement, pretty much. He was in a work furlough program where he was allowed to go out into the world during the day, and that was it. And I'm hoping that something new will come to light on that. Prosecutors have a special obligation when it comes to sexual assault cases. Sex offenders are different than almost any other type of criminal defendant. They are compelled to do it again. A bank robber might not, a burglar might not. You can bet as a prosecutor that a sex offender, if you release them, they're going to continue to abuse children. And every prosecutor knows that. And this was really bad. Okay, so I'm hoping there's some answers on that. Another failure here was journalistic failure. Vanity Fair magazine knew about this in 2003 and didn't print the article. There were 2 sisters, one of whom was 16 years old. And one of the interesting things about the document releases so far is one of those reporters was one of the names on the list. Now, I don't know, maybe that was perfectly legitimate related to the story she was working on or not. 2008 is when he was convicted. Anybody that associated with him before that time kind of deserves the benefit of the doubt. In my view, everybody afterwards, once he's a convicted sex offender, I want to see if we have dates and who was seeing him, who was hanging out with him, who's socializing with him after everybody knew that he was a pedophile, basically. Does
the release of any additional information and maybe the documents that are dropping this week help the victims of Epstein's crimes in any way? What is the value that you see in the documents that have been released so far?
Well, I think it does, because I think that this reminds the public, and people are still talking about it, about what just horrific failure of both the initial journalism on this, as well as the initial prosecution attempts. I mean, it's like you have standards as a criminal prosecutor, and you have ethical obligations, especially to children or minors. I think the same should apply to journalists. So that's one thing that I think is probably good for the victims. People are still talking about this, and the general public realizes that they were in fact wronged here. Eventually, the Miami Herald ran an amazing series of articles and kind of redeemed journalism, because had they not pushed, I have no doubt that he would have gotten away with this and continued to abuse kids. And then there was also a really good prosecutors finally got involved with the federal government and charged Jeffrey Epstein when he was arrested in 2019, which led to his suicide, or apparent suicide. So we have sort of the best and the worst here. We have horrific, lamentable prosecution, followed by kind of the same with journalism, with Vanity Fair, in my view. And then you have that the Miami Herald was outstanding, and so are the prosecutors, the federal prosecutors who indicted him in New York. Yeah, so we kind of have the best of both worlds.
The best of both worlds. And Matt, I appreciate you coming on the show and speaking about this again. I know the last time we had you on, so many people on our NewsNation YouTube channel in particular really appreciated you bringing the Vanity Fair point to light in particular. There's a lot of conversation around that as a result. Matt Murphy, thank you for your time again tonight.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.